Hello everyone and welcome to my first, probably there will be more, first Fallout 4 roleplay Q&A, behind the scenes Q&A, to go with my Fallout 4 hardcore roleplay series on my channel. And so if you're a fan of the series, I hope you enjoy this. So last week I asked you guys in the community tab, and if you don't ever look at my community tab, why not? Go look at it. I post down there sometimes to give you guys updates and stuff like that. Or to ask you guys questions for videos and stuff like this. I asked you guys to give me questions for the Q&A. And so I'm going to be reading those questions now and answering them. So if you have been enjoying my Fallout 4 roleplay series and have always wanted to know how I do it, behind the scenes, stuff like that, hopefully I answer your questions today. And if you didn't know of this question, Q&A thing, and you wish that you could have gotten a question in, if I don't answer any of the questions that you had today, go ahead and ask them in the comments down below. And sometime in the future of the roleplay, I will probably do another one of these, and your question might get in that one. So, all right, so let's just start with the first one. And there were some duplicates, so I'm only going to read the first question. I'm going to read all of your guys' questions as you wrote them. And the first one that was asked, I will be reading that one, and if there are any duplicates after that, I'm not going to read those ones. All right? Okay, so first up, how do you come up with the ideas for the roleplay? Also, do you find it harder to make it? Well, okay, so that's two questions. I'll answer them one at a time here. How do I come up with the ideas for the roleplay? I'm assuming you mean like in each episode. Mostly it's just sort of ad-lib, made up on the spot. I have an idea where it's going or where I would like it to go. Sometimes, not all the time, like some episodes are just like completely unplanned and I just sort of go with whatever happens. Other times I'm thinking, okay, Ellie's got to get from this point to this point, you know, she's got to start here, she's got to get here by the end. It doesn't always work out. There have been a lot of episodes that go completely different from what I thought would happen. There have been a couple where I tried really hard to plan them to go a certain way, and then the game just, you know, the game has a mind of its own. You guys know that. Random encounters, random events. There were even times when I practice. Now, I'm not talking, like, I don't do this all the time. Okay, I did this maybe twice so far. Let's see. There's 25 episodes currently out. And out of all those 25 episodes, I've done this, like, twice. Actually, like, went through the episode, like practiced it, because it was going to be a tough one to get to work right, and stay, you know, in character and have the NPCs work the way I want them to and have events line up just right. And so I actually would do practice runs of them. And I can tell you exactly which episodes those were. So the first one was when the Pridwin showed up in the Commonwealth. So I have a mod, and I believe I talked about this mod in my introduction video to the series. So if you haven't watched that, I actually go over quite a bit of the mods that I was going to start the game with. It's called ArcJet Triggers Pridwin, which allows you to decide when the Pridwin comes into the Commonwealth instead of killing Kellogg and then exiting Fort Hagen, triggering the Pridwin's arrival, which is what happens in vanilla. After you exit ArcJet with Paladin Danse, but before you talk to him, if you type in a console command, you can actually decide how many hours it will be from that point until the Pridwin arrives. Okay? So that's what I did way back when I first did the ArcJet mission. I typed it in and I decided that I'd be waiting 2 in-game weeks before the Pridwin arrived. Now, I didn't know what would be going on in the game at the time, and so I was hoping that I would be somewhere in the Commonwealth where I would actually see the Pridwin arrive, because it will still arrive in the same place. No matter where you are, it'll still come and go across over Fort Hagen and to the airport from there. So if you're way up north or way over, east or something, you're not going to see it from your location because it'd be too far away. So I had to make sure I was close enough that I could see it, and also not in an interior cell, because then I obviously would not see it then either. And I also wanted to make sure that it wasn't dark out so that I wouldn't, miss it in the nighttime. So I had to make sure that all of these things lined up. And that was hard. And so I had to carefully plan where I was going to be when the time came. And since I had to pick hours, like how many hours it was into the future when it would arrive from the moment when I typed it in, not days or anything. It wasn't an exact, I didn't understand the exact moment that it would arrive. I kind of knew the day that it would arrive, since it was, approximately 14 days, but not down to the exact hour, because I didn't remember to check what time it was in game when I actually input the command. And so I didn't know exactly what hour of the day it would arrive. So, anyways, then, now, for the quest, what's it called? The one that Paladin Danse sends you on to go find the missing team that's lost. And so that one, you can do that one with or without Danse. If you have him as your companion when you do it, he's got a lot of extra dialogue and stuff. So if I wanted it to be that way, I wanted to go do it with him because of that, because he has a lot of extra dialogue for all of the different stages of that quest. He basically investigates it with you, and I felt that would be a really good thing to have in the story, sort of as a way to interact with Danse more on a realistic level, right? So I really wanted to have him as my companion first. Unfortunately, he the quest triggered before I was able to get him as a companion. It triggered, I don't know, just a few days after Ellie joined the Brotherhood. And I couldn't have Danse as my companion yet, because you can't get him as your companion until the Pridwin arrives. So I had to stall. And come up with reasons not to go do that mission. And so I had to carefully plan, okay, what am I going to do now? Well, how about we go do a quest for Halen? Okay, let's go to over here and do this. And I think we went to the Beantown Brewery, right? And some other places. And then we went and did the one for Reese, clearing out the ghouls. So I was killing time so that I wouldn't have to do Dance's mission. And I tried to make it so that their missions sounded more important than his, so that he would be okay with Ellie postponing his, right? So there was a lot of planning that went into that. And then the day that the day in the game finally came when, well, no, actually I had 2 days to go before the Pridwin would arrive. And so I was like, well, after the Pridwin arrives, Danse isn't going to care about that mission as much, because he's going to be like, okay, now we got to go to the Pridwin. And then all that other stuff will happen. And then finally someday we'll get around to going on his mission, but I could take him with me, right? So I just had to stall for 2 more days, but I was running out of excuses that sounded reasonable to delay it any longer. And so finally I was like, well, I know. I'll set out on the mission. I'll head on my way to Malden, where the mission starts. But I'll make sure something really bad happens to stall her. Or she gets distracted so much. I wasn't sure what would happen because, the game is random. You can kind of hope certain things will happen, but then it might not, and it didn't. So this is what I planned to happen, right? So I actually went and did a practice run of it. I had her going up through Malden, and I decided she was going to go through that East Everett Estates or West Everett Estates or whatever it is, where all the super mutants were. And my plan was for her to get injured by them enough that she would have to run away. Or maybe not injured, or, either or. Injured or not, either way she would have to run and try to find another way around. And she would go around to the other way, but that there would be super mutants over by the hospital there. And that's kind of what happened. But in my practice session, the super mutants by the hospital chased her, and so did the sentry bot that's up on the hill above that, chased her all the way over to Covenant. And she found Covenant and got all caught up in that. And I was like, okay, well, this'll give her something to do for another day. So that all took one day. She got to Covenant. The next day, she does the Covenant quest, right? That's what I thought would happen. But that's not what happened in the original. That's what happened in the original practice run. But of course, in the actual one that I recorded for the episode, she got up to the West Everett Estates, was attacked by the mutants like I hoped would happen. She didn't get hurt, though. Or did she? I can't remember. But anyways, Dogmeat got hurt. And Dogmeat disappeared. That wasn't planned originally. That was like brand new that happened. And so I just went with it. I was like, well, this isn't a distraction. This is something that's keeping her from going forward. So this is good. Dogmeat got hurt, and because I'm playing in survival mode, when a companion goes down and you leave the area, if you leave the cell that they're in, they will automatically teleport to their starting location. That's just the way it works. So that's what actually happened to Dogmeat. If any of you guys didn't know where he actually went, that's where he went. He went back to the Red Rocket. He teleported back. And that's why Ellie couldn't find him. So I was like, okay, cool. This will work. We'll have her looking for Dogmeat in the next episode. So I was doing that and everything. And then she got hurt, by the bugs. And I can't remember what all her injuries were, but then I teleported Dogmeat back to her so that it would be like he found her and stuff, so that I wouldn't have to explain how he's suddenly way over the Red Rocket, because that's not very immersive at all, right? Why would he just suddenly leave her and go home, right? That's not realistic. So I just pretended it didn't happen. But anyways, I'm going on and on for a long time, and you guys, this is taking me a long time to answer this question. I have lots of others, but anyway, that is just an example of how I try to plan an episode, and it doesn't always work out the way I wanted, but I just have to kind of go with what the game throws at me and try to work it out. I have a goal in mind, so the goal was keep her from starting that quest. Keep her from getting, the quest already started, but keep her from progressing through it. Keep her from arriving at the first point in Malden where she finds the clues and the dead Brotherhood soldiers, right? And that, where they blew up their power armors, right? So I had to keep her from arriving there. That was the goal. However that plays out is sort of on the fly, even though I tried to plan it. And then another goal was to make sure that I was in an area where I would be able to see the Prydwen arriving so that she could see it come in. And so I made sure, after she went back to Diamond City and got healed, and then she went back out to try again, that she would be around the area of Taffington Boathouse, because I knew because I had practiced it before and I knew exactly when the Pridwin would arrive on the exact day, because during my practice session I saw it arrive and I was like, okay, this is the day that it arrives. Cool. And I can see it from here. So then I made sure she was at Taffington Boathouse and that she slept there that night, because I knew that the Pridwin would arrive the very next day. And it did. And it all worked out. So that is how I... Now, like I said, that much planning doesn't go into every single episode. It might go into a handful. And I've only actually played through an episode in advance. I've done a practice run twice. The other time was when Ellie and Danse were going to Fort Strong. I wanted to see if she could actually do it without dying. And I actually ran through that one a couple times so that I would know, because it had been a long time since I'd done that quest. Like, I don't know, at least 3 years since I'd done that quest. I couldn't remember everything that it involved, and I wanted to know what I was getting myself into. Because when she dies, if she ever dies in the game, it's a big deal. I have to redo everything that came before that to an extent. I mean, sometimes I only have to redo the last like 10 minutes or something or whatever, but I have to make it a seamless thing so that it doesn't look like she died. And then she hasn't died very often. She's died actually while recording 4 times in the entire series so far. And then she died a couple more times during practice runs, just because I was testing stuff. But I don't count testing deaths, because I wasn't actually recording or trying not to die. I was just running through it. Anyway, yeah, so I guess that might answer your second question. Is it harder to make? Is it harder to make? What do you guys think? Do you guys think this was probably harder to make compared to my first Fallout Let's Play with Shane? If you're new to the channel, you might not have watched that. I don't know. But that wasn't a role play. It was kind of role play. Like, I role played. It was, maybe you could say it was a soft role play. I was in character most of the time, but I also left character a lot to talk about the game, talk about whatever. I didn't need to do these behind the scenes videos because I would gradually update the viewers throughout while I was recording the episodes. But anyways, those were easy because all I did was push start on my recorder, and then I would play for 45 minutes and then push stop. And then I would put my headers and footers on the in post and upload it. That was all the editing I had to do. I had to cut out load screens. That's it. Right? So that was easy. Those kinds of videos are easy, and any casual Let's Plays that I do these days are easy like that. They're my easiest videos to produce. So yes, this Fallout 4 roleplay is the hardest video series I have ever done. It requires the most time to record. It takes me about between 2 to 4 hours to record one episode. Okay, that's actual recording time. Well, it includes setup, and I have to write her journal entries. I have to record her journal entry audio separately. I have to record all of the journal entry footage of the camera panning across different views, right? I have to take all that into account. That all is extra stuff that none of my other Let's Plays have. And that stuff takes extra hours. And then the episode itself could take more time than the actual episode length, because sometimes I have to do a practice run, or sometimes something will get messed up so bad that I have to start over, sometimes from the very beginning. And that's really frustrating. So this series, while it is, you know, I know it's your guys' favorite series. I mean, you guys have told me, and you know, I really like reading your comments because they're really encouraging. You guys love this series, and you know, that keeps me going, because this series is so time consuming and often stressful, because it's very hard to produce one entire episode in a week's time. I'm often like finishing it right at the last minute, the night before it's supposed to come out. It's extremely stressful to produce this. And so your guys' encouragement and your enthusiasm for it is what keeps me going with this. And I really like the end results of these. I'm really proud of what I'm producing here with this show, but it is not easy. It's definitely not a relaxing gameplay session, and so that's why I will probably always keep some sort of casual Let's Play going on my channel, just so that I can kick back and relax with you guys without having to worry about any of this other technicality stuff. Anyways, so hopefully that answered your question, and hopefully that didn't take too long. I think it did, because I think I spent like 20 minutes on just this one question. So let's move on. I probably answered several other people's questions within there somewhere, because I kind of went all over. Anyways, so the next question is, how often do you have to abandon hours of work for whatever reasons? Oh, so that one's sort of connected to the last one, right? I've had to do that. And usually it's not on purpose. Like, I wouldn't choose to abandon hours of work. Usually it's not an option. Usually the game decides for me, or I have technical failures. Like, I've lost complete episodes before. My computer sometimes eats my videos, and I can't get it back. It just happens every once in a while, and it's very frustrating. Sometimes I'll record an entire episode, and it has not happened like super often. I don't know, maybe twice. I don't remember. At least once. It's happened at least once where my computer ate an entire video and I had to redo the entire thing. That is extremely frustrating. Sometimes, like, I've had the game crash before, which makes it so that I have to basically start over, or Ellie will die. That's happened a few times, and I have to kind of start over from at a decent spot where it won't be noticeable, like where there could have been a load screen, like she had just left a building or something, and there's a load screen. I can cut in the redone part without anybody noticing, right? But that could be 10, 15, 20 minutes back, and that's really frustrating. So most of the time, it's not that I chose to abandon hours of work, it's that they just got ripped away from me without my permission or my yeah. And and then the hours of work is wasted because of it. There's never been a time where I'd like, at least I don't think there has, I don't recall ever like just throwing away hours of work because I didn't like it or anything like that. I mean, so the intro shots that go with the journals, the narration at the beginning of each episode, I record a lot of footage for those sometimes. Sometimes I don't record enough, and then I have to go back in and record some more, but a lot of the footage that I record for those intro sections don't get used. But that was time that I used to record them. So I guess maybe you could say that I'm throwing away those hours of work, but that's just the way movie making is, right? You don't always use all the footage you record, because I don't know how much I'm going to need a lot of the time. Sometimes I do, sometimes I know exactly, because I have the journal entry already written, and I know exactly what I want to be shown during certain parts of the journal, and then I record just that much footage. Sometimes I haven't written the journal entry yet, and so I just film a bunch of stuff that's in the area, whatever, and then I figure it out later. So anyway, hopefully that answers your question. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so the next question is, are you using a Fudge Muppet character build for Ellie, or your own perk choices based on your own experience? So, if you guys have watched my my original Fallout 4 Let's Play with Shane, I actually used the Fudge Muppet character build for Shane. with a little bit of tweaks. And a lot of people have noticed it, actually, people who have watched Fudge Muppet. And if you haven't watched Fudge Muppet on YouTube, go watch them because they're cool. They do character builds. And so if you want to start a new Fallout 4 playthrough but don't know what kind of character you want, go there and watch their builds. They're awesome. Anyway, I loved their sniper build. And I was like, oh, that would be perfect for my Let's Play. And, I mean, that was my favorite of their builds. It probably still is to this day. Yeah, so I used it, and I changed it up just a little bit. I added a few details of my own. I changed some of the perks around a little bit. And I changed the character history a little. For Ellie, though, no, she's completely my character. I didn't use any of Fudge Muppet's builds this time. I made her up from scratch. She's actually based on my first playthrough of Fallout 4 that I did with a female character. And I kind of role-played. So when I play by myself, I role-play just as much on my own in my private playthroughs as I do in the ones that I put on my channel. So maybe even more. Because it would be boring for you to watch if I did it. If I role-played as much as I do and show every single thing that I would actually play as, every little tiny detail, it would probably be too boring and the episodes would be too long. In my original playthrough, though, I had McCready as a follower, and I was actually going to have, and when I was first starting to plan out this roleplay, way back, it was like 3 years ago, right? When I first started planning this roleplay, I was going to have McCready because I was basing it on my first playthrough as a female character. And so I wrote a journal for her on my laptop while I was playing. As, like, whenever she got a chance to write, I would just pause the game, pull my laptop onto my lap, and type out her journal as if she was writing it. And so I actually have, and I did that for my very first playthrough of Fallout 4 too, so I actually have a very detailed record of my first and second playthroughs of Fallout 4. And it's fun to go back and read it, because it's a lot of stuff in there that I would have forgotten otherwise. So anyway, I was going to base my roleplay series on her journal and sort of follow along with that old playthrough, changing it here and there just so that it made more sense, because I didn't, so it would make more sense for a story. I just played the game, and it wouldn't make as good of a story if I did it in the same order and all that, you know what I mean? But anyways, in that original playthrough, she had McCready as a follower, and I was at first going to have him too, and she was going to, because she joined the Railroad in my original playthrough. But then I was like, no, that's too close to Shane's playthrough. Shane joined the Railroad. Shane had McCready as a follower. I don't want to do that again. I need to do something completely different. This roleplay has to be completely different from my first one. So I switched out McCready for Danse. Excuse me. And decided to join the Brotherhood instead. And that was decided in advance. I knew that Ellie would join the Brotherhood from the very beginning, and I have other things planned out, certain like milestones for her that I'm working toward. I'm not going to give them away because I don't want to give too many spoilers, but yeah, anyway, I've been building up her perks and all that based on the goals I have in mind for her, and just what I think would be realistic from a roleplay perspective. And I'll talk about her perks and whatnot in a little later in this video. So stay tuned for that if you want to know about that. And as for Ellie's backstory, it was completely made up. I wrote that out on my own. I didn't copy anything. It was a lot of it was the backstory that I wrote for my original character. So there, hopefully that answered your question, Joe. All right, next question. Do you plan on any others, but with other endings explored? Where did the idea of Ellie, the character and the creation, come from? I kind of already just answered that one though. Is it possible to add other companions with editing voice, or would it simply take too long? Okay, so I'll answer them one at a time. Do I plan on any others? I'm assuming you mean other roleplay series in Fallout 4. That's what I think you mean. With other endings explored, so like Railroad, or Institute, or Minutemen, right? I'm not thinking that far ahead, to be honest. No, I am absolutely not thinking that far ahead. I am completely overwhelmed with this roleplay for now, and that is good enough for me. So, no, I am not planning on any others at this time. If I ever do any others, we'll have to just wait and see, because I don't know. I don't know how long this one's gonna last. So, yeah, it's really impossible to answer that question right now. Where did I get the idea of Ellie? Well, I basically just answered that with the last one. I got her. She's inspired by my first playthrough with a female character. Anyways, so then, is it possible to add other companions with the editing voice, or does it simply take too long? I am editing other characters, as you probably saw. I mean, this question might have been asked before the last episode aired, episode 25, where Nick is in it now, and I have added lines for Nick. And, you know, that probably can lead into the very next question, and that is, how do you do Dance's dialogue when it's not part of a vanilla conversation? And this is probably the most asked question of the series so far. Everybody wants to know how I make Danse answer my questions and respond to me and have conversations with him when it's not a vanilla conversation. When we're just running around out in the world, he replies to me. Well, editing magic, that's what it is. And it's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. But I think we can all agree that it adds just that little bit of oomph that makes it so much more realistic, right? I mean, I'm really pleased with the results. Now, I can't take credit for this idea at all, because this was not my idea to add lines to the characters. It was actually Rykon's idea, or I don't know if it was his idea originally either, but I got it from him with his Fallout 4 roleplay that he's doing on his channel. And if you haven't heard of Rykon, Rykon Roleplays, he's awesome. I mean, I was so inspired by his videos, and actually one of my subscribers recommended him to me, and I am sorry, I don't remember who you are, but one of my subscribers told me about him. I had never heard of him before, and I went to go check out his channel. He had a Fallout 4 role play that, and I had just started mine. I think I was on episode 3 of my role play when I discovered Rykon. And I watched his role play, and he only had, like, I don't know, 15 episodes out. I think he only still does have 15 episodes out because it's on a break right now, but I binged watched his series, and I was just blown away by how into it he was. Like, he was role playing like I wanted to role play. Like I was trying it to already, and it was amazing how similar our role plays were without even me knowing who he was. And I was like, that is awesome that he was doing a similar style. I had never seen anyone else do that much hardcore role playing before. And like, he was completely in character, and he started using the companions' dialogue lines and adding them later, like, so that they could respond to him in the game when they were exploring and, you know, outside of vanilla dialogue. And I thought that was so brilliant. I was like, wow, that's amazing. And so I started, like, picking his brain a little bit and asking him how he does certain stuff. So I was like, I am so stealing this. So Rykon, I hope you don't mind that I stole your idea, but anyway, I totally got it from him, so All credit to Rycon. Go watch his channel. He's an amazing role player. You'd love him. Do it. Anyways. So what was the question? Oh yeah. How do you get it in? So how do I get the dialogue into the when it's not part of the vanilla conversation? Well, okay, so the dialogue, I got the dialogue from the game itself. You know, I extracted the archives. I extracted the files, the voice files from the archives, from the game's archives. Danse has over 2,000 voice lines, okay? Over 2,000. And the way Bethesda names the files is completely useless to me, because they use like some sort of alphanumeric code that only they know what it means. And so each file is letters and numbers, and that's it. And I had to listen to every single one, and I made a spreadsheet. Yeah, so you guys, this is a lot of work, right? Now, I started doing this long before Danse actually even entered the picture. So I was doing this for weeks before Danse entered the picture, so that I would have enough lines documented by the time he came in that I would be able to look them up real quick, right? So I made a spreadsheet of all of his lines. I listened to each one. I tossed out the ones that were obviously vanilla conversations where it would be recognizable, right? And I wrote out each dialogue. I named each file. I wrote down in the spreadsheet what the file's name was. I wrote down the tone of voice that he used, so that I could just look at the spreadsheet and be like, okay, no, he's angry in this one. That won't work. I need him to be more lighthearted, stuff like that. So then I also have it categorized. So I have like answers and replies in a section all by themselves. I have questions in a section all by themselves. I've got hellos, goodbyes, negatives, affirmatives. I have whole other sections for just dialogue pieces, like stuff that I could do, like if we're having an actual dialogue together. I've got battle cries, and I've got like, I don't know, lots more categories. So I can quickly, well, quote unquote, quickly. It's not super quick, but it's a lot quicker than if it was just a jumble mess. I can more quickly find the lines I need. And since I've heard them all multiple times, I kind of have a mental list in my head, too, because it can just start after a while, after I've seen them so many times and heard them so many times. I start to remember which ones I have. And so I can ask Danse a question in the game, knowing that there's a line for him to answer me with. And I can know which line it is in my head. And so then I know how to respond to him if, what he says. And I know how long it will take for him to say it. And that's not true every time. It's true with things like if his answer to my question is yes or no or whatever. I know I have certain answers already recorded for those. So now for the actual conversations, like there's been a couple times where we actually had a back and forth conversation about different things. Those had to be planned in advance. I had to write a script, and people have commented on the video that those conversations always feel so seamless, like they were supposed to be, like it was a vanilla conversation. Like I actually had a conversation with him and he knew what I was saying and he responded accordingly. And that just doesn't just happen by accident. That takes a lot of planning. I have to write a script in advance. I have a goal for the conversation, but I don't know exactly how it's going to go because I don't know what lines are available. I haven't memorized all 2,000 of Dance's lines, let's just say that. I don't know what all the lines that are available, right? And so I have to go into my spreadsheet and I'll first write down Ellie's line that I want to start the conversation off with. And then I'll scroll up and down through my spreadsheet to try to find an appropriate answer from Danse. If I can't find an appropriate answer, maybe I need to change Ellie's question a little bit so that her question goes with his answer. Or while I'm scrolling for one line, I might find another that pops out and is like, hey, this would be perfect for later on in this dialogue. So I'll set that aside and then try to work my way towards that reply from Danse. And I keep tweaking it until it all sounds like it flows together and like it's natural. So a lot of work goes into it, and it could take me a full day, and I'm talking, it could take me like a full work day to write one of these scripts sometimes. It depends on how long the conversation is, but like the one, I think it was in the last episode 25, where she dismisses Danse, basically. She decides that she needs to go on with Nick and doesn't want Danse to go with her. Or Danse doesn't want to go with her. And that one, I think, is the longest conversation that I've written for them so far. And that one took me all day to write that one. That was a hard one. But I don't know, I think it worked out in the end. And it's also hard to film them. So while I'm recording this, Danse isn't actually replying to me in real time. I'm reading the script on my laptop that I have right in front of my screen that I'm recording the game on. And I'm reading my lines, and then I'm reading Dance's lines in my head so that I can wait the appropriate amount of time before I read my next line out loud, so that I'm leaving space for Danse to answer, so that I can put in his lines later when I'm editing it. And that's hard because sometimes I can't remember the speed at which Danse says his line. And there's been a couple times where I barely had enough time to insert his line before Ellie answers him again or replies to him. And I'm like, okay, I need to... It's better to have more time than not enough time, right? So... Because people don't, in a conversation, people don't always answer immediately. Like, you can ask a question and they might have to think about the answer for a second. So having a little extra time, I think, is better and more natural than not enough time where I have to just squeeze it in and the replies come too quickly. You know what I mean? So I've sort of, over time, I've sort of kind of developed a process that works better and better and better. And so it's getting easier and easier to do them. At first it was really hard. I had to redo the first one, I think, at least once, because it just didn't work out. But anyways, another challenge with adding the dialogue and doing these dialogues is I can't look at Danse. And you probably might have noticed this. I can't look at him while he is saying his lines because his mouth won't be moving. And so then that would be dumb, right? So I have to make sure that I'm not looking directly at his face when he's supposed to be saying his line. And that's the only drawback to doing it this way. But I think it's a very small drawback compared to the advantage of having the dialogues in there. I think having the dialogues in there makes the role play that much deeper and more realistic, and makes the characters of Danse and anybody else, Nick or whoever else Ellie ends up having with her, it makes them more lifelike, right? They're not just a mindless puppet that just follows along and does whatever she tells them to. I mean, a lot of the time they are, but I try to have them react to the things she does, the things she says, the events that happen. There's times when, like, after a fight, and Danse, like, he gets knocked on the head by a super mutant, he doesn't say anything in the vanilla version, the version that got recorded. He doesn't say anything. Ellie comes over and stim packs him because he got knocked out. He doesn't say anything. You know, Dogmeat gets knocked out. He doesn't say anything, right? So then I add in little things where I add in him yelling because he got knocked in the head. Then Ellie stimpaks him. He's like, oh, thanks, I needed that. I add that in. Dog meat gets hurt. I add in Danse mentioning that dog meat got hurt. Whatever. Little stuff like that, I think, just makes so much difference. And I think you guys have noticed it too because you commented on it a lot. And that's why this is the most asked question. How do you do that? It's not easy. But I'm going to keep doing it because I think it's worth it. Anyway, this is becoming a long video and I've only answered a few questions. I have a few more to go. But hopefully you guys don't mind. All right. Where was I? Oh yeah, so I was answering that last question and is it possible to add other companions with the voice editing or would it simply take too long? Well, yeah, so I've started doing Nick's now. I haven't completely cataloged all of Nick's dialogue lines yet. I kind of lollygagged a little bit with that. I knew Nick was coming into the story, but it completely slipped my mind that I should have been cataloging his lines in the weeks leading up to that, like I did with Danse. Because by the time Danse came into the story, I had all of his lines categorized and ready to go, but not with Nick. By the time Nick came into the story, I had I don't know, maybe a couple dozen lines categorized out of over 2,000. That's not very many. It was very, very hard to find lines for Nick in that episode 25. I was scraping to find appropriate lines. And there was a point in episode 25 where I was in the middle of editing it and it was after Ellie got injured. And I didn't have any lines categorized where Nick would be able to respond to that. Or later on when she was progressively getting worse and I had nothing for him to say about it. I was like, So, stop the presses, stop everything. I'm not finishing this video until I categorize some of Nick's lines. So I spent a whole day just going through them all, trying to find some. I found some good ones, put them in the video, and I got it out just in time before it was going to be late. Yeah, so anyway, since then I've been, gradually going through them. I'm almost done now, so as of the recording of this video, I'm almost done categorizing Nick's. And I don't know yet if any other characters, if Ellie's going to have any more followers in the future. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe she will. And if she does, I will try to plan it in advance and actually categorize their lines before they're in it. So we'll see. Yeah, it's time consuming, but again, I think it's worth it. I think it just gives it that extra little level of quality, right? Anyway, next question. Well, so this is kind of long. I'll just read the part that is the question. How structured is the series? It strikes me as a lot of improv, but you must have some rough outline of the whole story at least, or is it more detailed? Have you varied from your intended build, and what is your build at this point? And also, do you plan to integrate VATs into the story somehow, like after visiting a vault? Will any of the DLCs fit into the intended character path? So it's a lot of questions. I'll try to answer them all. I've already kind of talked about how structured the series is. Yes, a lot of it is improv. Most of it is improv, obviously, because it's such an unpredictable game. I can't plan it down to every detail. So most of it is improv, but as I've already explained, a lot of it is at least an attempt at planning. I do have a rough outline of our entire story. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I don't want to spoil I don't want to give you spoilers. You guys can just wait and see it when I make the videos, right? But I do have a rough outline of where her character is going to go and stuff like that. The things, certain points that I'm going to touch on throughout the story. So I do have ideas, but you'll have to wait and see what those are. Have I varied from my intended build? No, I have not varied from my intended build. And so what is the build? And I'm assuming you mean Ellie's, stats and stuff, right? Her special stats. Several people have asked what her special stats are, so I will go ahead and answer that right now. So Ellie's starting stats, and I did tell them to you guys back in my series introduction video, number 2. If you haven't watched it, you can go do that if you want to know more about the series. My plans and stuff, I talk about that a little bit. So her original build was 2 strength, 3 perception, 4 endurance, 7 charisma, 5 intelligence, 5 agility, and 2 luck. Those were her original starting stats. And I've only increased 2 of them so far. I have increased perception by 1, and I have increased endurance by 3. And so I mostly just for roleplay reasons, I think, her endurance would have increased with all the running around she's been doing. She's getting in shape, basically. She's running all across the Commonwealth. She's in lots of tough fights. She's expending a lot of energy. She's gaining endurance. She would have gained endurance. So that's why I've done that. I have not increased strength, and I'm not going to increase strength. And some people have told me she would be getting stronger. Well, that's probably true, but she's not lifting weights. She's not, trying to bend bars or anything out there. So I don't think her strength would increase in any noticeable way. Sure, she's getting stronger. She can maybe carry her guns without as much fatigue, right? She can carry all of her pack better. She can lug around all the junk better that she's carrying. But I don't think it's going to be enough for us to notice. She's not a bodybuilder. She's not, she's not going to become inhumanly strong. She already can carry 200 pounds, which, is as low as I wanted to go. I think that's enough. I don't want her to be able to carry 400 pounds of stuff because that's not realistic at all. And for her to carry around that much junk all the time. So I want her to have a limit. I want to be able to not pick up stuff frequently. And I've actually been, she hasn't gotten over encumbered yet. In 25 episodes, I've actually recorded 26, but it's not out yet. In 26 episodes, she has not gotten over encumbered even one time. Because I've been very selective with what she picks up, because I'm trying to role play it in a realistic way. It's still a little beyond realism. I mean, you can't carry 7 desk fans in your backpack. That's just not possible. They wouldn't fit. They wouldn't physically fit, even if you could physically hold their weight. They wouldn't physically fit in your backpack. But still, I'm not letting her pick up every single thing she comes across. I'm trying to keep a sense of realism here. So I'm not going to increase her strength at all through the entire thing. All right? So there. Anyway, I haven't increased her charisma at all yet because I don't feel like I need to. 5 intelligence is the same. So intelligence perks, I'm not taking any intelligence perks. Well, I'm taking a couple, but most of them have to do with sciencey stuff, right? Chemist and science and all that kind of stuff that she's not going to be learning. So I'm not taking very many, intelligence perks. So I don't need her to have high intelligence. So I'm probably not going to increase intelligence at all. I'm probably going to increase her agility a little bit in the future. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'm doing some agility perks. But I don't know if I need to do any past 5, agility 5, so I don't know. I'm not going to increase her luck at all. And that's because I am not planning on using VATs. And that was one of your questions that you asked is, do I plan to integrate VATs into the story? And I'm not. And the reason, and I talked about this in my introduction video, that I wasn't planning on doing VATs at all. And I'm still sticking with that. I don't want to because I used VATS a lot with Shane in my first playthrough. Shane had an extreme VATS build. He was so overpowered in VATS that there was no challenge left in combat. And so I actually stopped using VATS with Shane in when I was doing the DLCs with him. I only used VATS when it was a really tough fight. So I decided I wanted this roleplay to be completely different from my first one. So I've used VATS a lot in my first one. I decided I'm not going to use VATS a lot in this one. And also, it helps with the immersion of it. I wasn't able to figure out how to integrate VATS in a immersive, realistic sort of way. Like, I don't know, I've never personally been able to figure out exactly how VATS works. Like, if it was applied in reality, like, how would it work in reality? I don't know. Does VATS take control of your arms somehow and make you aim perfect? Or is it like a sudden, like, heads-up display, like a visor that goes over your eyes that allows you to see body parts and focus in on them and stuff? I don't know. How does it work? I just didn't want to have to try to explain that from a role play perspective. I just wanted to keep it simple because this role play is already complicated enough. I didn't want to add more complication to it. So that's no. I'm just not going to do it. So I don't need to take any luck perks because the entire luck tree just deals with VATS. Making you a VATS god, and she's not going to be one, so I don't need any luck perks. So she's going to stay with a luck 2. Yeah. So her current perks that she's got. So for the endurance tree here, we've got toughness, and she currently has toughness 3, which gives her plus 30 damage resistance. And since this is like really hardcore survival mode, but it's enhanced survival mode. I've enhanced the combat. I've made it actually harder than vanilla survival mode. I mean, she could die. Oh man. Instant kill if it's a headshot. Instant kill, maybe, even if she gets hit in the chest. It's like the times that she has died, the 4 times she died in the game so far, they were instant kills. Okay? It wasn't hit, and then like the 4th one she dies. It's 1 hit, dead. And they were always such a shock. I was like, oh my gosh, she just died. I couldn't even do anything about it. Couldn't run, couldn't take a stim pack, dead. So that's why I played her very cautiously. I'm trying to play her realistically. In a gunfight, you're not gonna be poking your head out unless you really have to, right? You're gonna be hiding. You don't want to get hit. In reality, you don't want to get hit by a bullet. That will mess up your life if you get hit by a bullet anywhere on your body. Even if you don't die, you're messed up for a long time. So I'm trying to play it that way. She's cautious because she could die if she's not. And I know that kind of annoys some people. Some people can't, like, they get kind of frustrated with how slow-paced and how cautious she is. But that's how she's only died 4 times in 26 episodes, okay? If I wasn't being cautious, she would have died in every episode. Literally. Because, or at least every episode where there's combat or anything chasing her. So anyway, that is why I'm trying to increase her toughness. I know it doesn't really give much damage resistance, but I will be increasing it to the max. And I'm also Life Giver. She's got 2 points in that so far. And so that's plus 40 max health. So I want to increase her health. And that's also why I'm increasing endurance as well, because endurance increases health overall. So I'm trying to boost her, give her a little bit of an advantage. It's not a lot. And, like armor's even like better than that, but it helps. Every little bit helps in survival mode from what I have come to learn. This isn't the first time I've played survival mode, but this is the first time I've played survival mode with mods that make it even harder than vanilla. And so it's been a challenge. It's not easy. So that's all for the endurance. And I don't know if I'm going to take... I'll let you guys know later on down the line after she's leveled. So she's currently level 20, in case you want to know what level she is. She's currently level 20. Some of you might have guessed that because in the last episode she saw the spaceship fly overhead, and that triggers at level 20. But anyways, sometime down the line, I don't know, maybe level 40, I'll do another one of these videos, Q&A videos, and show you her stats again to see how she's leveled up. So for charisma, I've got local leader 2, and that's all. Because I want to build those workbenches and settlements. Yeah, gotta do that. Whether or not I choose any other charisma perks, I don't know. I might. I'm thinking about choosing, like, I don't know, maybe something like Black Widow or something like that. But we'll see. I haven't decided for sure. I don't have a perk map laid out for her. I don't have a plan for what perks I'm going to be taking. I just know which ones I'm not going to be taking. I'm just kind of going with it. Every time she levels up, I'm just like, well, let's try this right now, yeah? So, intelligence. I've got medic rank 1, so that stim packs restore 40% more health, and I am probably going to increase that one or two more times, because, gee whiz, I need those stim packs to give her more health. I also have gun nut rank 1, and that is only so that I can mod her guns. She doesn't have... I'm role-playing, she doesn't have the knowledge herself to mod guns. At least not yet. Maybe sometime down the road she does, if she can ever slow down long enough to learn, or for somebody to teach her. But up until now, I've just been role-playing that, like, Sturgis modded her gun, or Danse modded her gun, whatever. But I have to actually do it, so she needs the perk. I'll probably be increasing that so she can get the higher gun mod, the more advanced mods, whatever. It's only rank 1 so far because I wasn't really focusing at first, like for the first half of the series, I wasn't focusing on her gun skills because she didn't know any. She didn't have any gun skills. I wasn't focusing on her weapons. She didn't know anything about them. She didn't know that they could be made better. She wasn't learning how to shoot or use guns very well yet, so I just didn't give her any gun perks of any kind for the first half until she met the Brotherhood and joined the Brotherhood, and then Danse started giving her lessons and stuff like that. So she hasn't had any gun perks added until then. Which leads us to agility, which is she's got Gunslinger 3 now. So for, like I said, until she met Danse and he started training her, she didn't take any Gunslinger perks at all. And since I'm going for a pistols build, I'm going to be leveling up Gunslinger to the max, okay? It just increases the damage your pistols do, I think is what it does, yeah. And then she's got Sneak rank 3, which makes you 40% harder to sneak, and you also don't trigger floor traps or mines. That was one of the ways she died, actually. She stepped on a mine and blew up. I didn't see it. It was like hidden under something. Anyway. And then last one is Action Girl, and she's got rank 2 in that. I will be increasing that as well. Beyond this, action points regenerate 50% faster. And that's extremely important when you're running away from something. You run out of action points. You don't want to be walking for 10 minutes while you wait for your breath to come back, right? She's getting more fit because of all the running around she's doing. She's getting more fit. She catches her breath faster. She regains her stamina faster after running. So I think that's just realistic from a role play perspective too, but also just for my sanity, because action points are so bad in Fallout 4. You can't sprint for nothing in that game. So yeah, anyway, definitely want to regenerate them as fast as possible. Yeah, so hopefully that answered your question. This is so far all of the perks that she has now. And like I said, I will show you what she has again later on down the line after I've leveled her up some more. All right, let's go on to the next question. Now that this video is over an hour long. But oh well, I'm sure you guys don't mind. All right, next question. I know survival adds some different elements, but I haven't observed much difference in respect to roleplay, meaning not much time given to naps or actual eating. I know it has an effect on gameplay and makes you more cautious, but do you sometimes wish you'd just done hardcore mode or hard mode? Well, sometimes, but not really. And here's why. Hard mode isn't the same as survival mode. It doesn't have hunger, thirst, need for sleep. It doesn't have the diseases. And all the mods that I'm using that change this stuff, that change diseases, change sleep, change injuries, they won't work in anything except survival mode. They were made for survival mode, and they actually don't work outside of survival mode, so I wouldn't be able to use those mods. So when I first started planning this roleplay, I considered doing a hard mode playthrough with survival mode mods. Not mods that were meant for survival mode, but mods that can make hardcore or hard mode or any other mode, easy, normal, whatever, into a survival style playthrough. Because there are mods that add hunger and thirst. There are mods that kind of can give you a semblance of survival mode. They were actually made before survival mode came out. However, after researching all of these mods, I wouldn't get as full of an experience with just those mods compared to actual survival mode with survival mode enhancing mods. So, like, for instance, there isn't a mod, at least not one that I know of, that will add injuries to regular mode, right? So there wouldn't be that. There isn't a mod that adds diseases to regular mode. I think it was only hunger and thirst was added. So there's those aspects. And you said something about that there isn't much time given to naps or actual eating and stuff like that. Well, I don't know. I've shown her eating lots of times. I don't want to do it every single time she's hungry. A lot of it happens after I stop recording, like they settle down for camp, or she just got to the inn or something. Well, now it's time to eat. But I'm not going to show that in the episode because it's just some filler thing at the end that doesn't really need to be there. She eats after the camera's cut, right? So she's eating and drinking throughout the episodes a lot of the time. I just don't spend a lot of time focusing on it. I did it first when she was trying to survive and she was not having access to a lot of food. I mean, she spent an entire episode hunting and trying to find food and killing crows and getting their meat. And, there'd been lots of instances where I did focus on that aspect of survival and her trying to find water and stuff. But I don't have to focus on it as much now because she's got established. She's got sources for food and water now. She hasn't had a need to really focus on that aspect of survival because she's not going hungry. She's not going thirsty. She's just living now. And that's just inevitable that it would happen that way because she accumulates resources. So, now naps, You're probably referring to, at least I think this is what you're referring to, so I'm sorry if I'm interpreting your question wrong, but naps, I think maybe you're talking about like saving at a bed. Because in vanilla survival mode, the horrible save system that they have in place there where you have to actually sleep to save. No, I'm not doing that. I have a mod that lets me do regular saves because I have to for recording purposes. I have to be able to reload my saves. And in survival mode, vanilla survival mode, you only get 3 save slots and they're always overriding themselves. I can't do that for recording purposes, or it would be a nightmare. I wouldn't be able to record my videos. I have to be able to save in certain points. I have to be able to reload old saves. I have to be able to do things behind the scenes in order to produce the videos. That's why I also have fast travel mod for survival mode, and I have a mod that enables the console so that I can do console commands. I have to have these things enabled for video production reasons. They don't factor into my roleplay at all. I don't fast travel during my roleplay. I don't cheat to use... I don't use the console to cheat. I use the console to have free camera so that I can get my cool cinematic shots and things like that. So anyways, she's not taking naps because she doesn't need to. I mean, if she's exhausted, she'll go to sleep. She goes to sleep at night. She goes to sleep every single night. So there's that. It has an extreme effect on gameplay. Especially when it comes to diseases and injuries. And you probably saw that in last episode. She hasn't gotten a lot of injuries or a lot of diseases. Because I've been very careful. Because that's what she would do. She would be very careful. She knows how bad the world is. She knows how dangerous it is out there. And, she has a little bit of a medical background. She's not ignorant of what can happen to you out there if you get hurt. You could die from a simple cut because you got infected or something. You know what? She's not going to take unnecessary chances most of the time if she can help it. And so it affects the gameplay extremely. It definitely makes me more cautious because as you can see in episode 25, the last one, she got hurt. She got bit by a dog. Okay, one bite by a dog crippled her leg. And I have a mod installed that makes it so that stim packs don't heal limbs. They do in the vanilla survival mode. If you just take a stim pack, your limb is healed. And I never liked that. You can't do that in the older Fallout games. If your limb is crippled, in older Fallout games, you're crippled. Unless you go see a doctor or take Hydra or use a doctor's bag. And I liked it that way. I thought it cheapened the roleplay experience if having a stim pack heal limbs. And not just that, in survival mode, limbs don't regenerate naturally over time like they do in regular mode. In regular mode, regular or hard mode or normal mode, whatever, easy mode, all of those modes below survival mode, your limbs just regenerate after, 10 seconds? You don't even have to take a stim pack to heal your limb in normal mode. And I never liked that. So I wanted to make it more realistic. And so taking a stim pack won't heal her broken limb. So she got bit by a dog. Her leg is crippled. And here she's supposed to be going in and facing off Kellogg and his horde of synths. What? No, she's not. It was a game changer. Her getting crippled, just a bite from a dog, makes it so she cannot go on anymore. She has to give up the chase. That's game changing. It affects gameplay seriously. That wouldn't happen in hard mode. None of that would have happened in hard mode. Plus, she got an infection in her injured leg. And that affected her as well. She had to take a lot of stim packs to keep that infection from killing her, because infections eat away your health pretty rapidly in the game. Every single time she makes that sound where she's like, ugh, that's the infection hitting her health bar. And it goes down a lot. So maybe like 4 times that happens, and you get the heartbeat sound. She's almost dead. Let it happen a couple more times after that without taking a stim pack, and she will die. It's very serious. And so she's taken stim packs a lot. And, I mean, I had to take several she had to take several stim packs behind the scenes while I was setting up the scene. Like, she's, you know, for episode 26, which was supposed to air today, but didn't, because I lost some footage and had to redo it, and I just didn't have time to redo it and get it all edited in time for today. That's why you guys are watching this video instead. But anyways, recording episode 26. Setting up the scene for the next episode at the beginning, where I have to record all the footage for the introduction, where, you know, the camera's panning around for the journal entry. She almost died like 3 times during that time because she had an infection, and it was making her health go down, and I had to use like at least 5 stim packs to keep her alive just so I could film my scenes, behind the scenes stuff. Yeah, it affects it a lot. But so yeah, like there are times where I kind of wish that I had decided to do it in hard mode, but not very often, because of all the reasons I already said. Hard mode just wouldn't have the same effect on the roleplay. There wouldn't be that risk of infection, that risk of injury, that risk of death. It wouldn't be as high, or even it would be non-existent in some cases. The only times I wish I wasn't recording in hardcore mode, in survival mode, I should say, is when I'm doing behind the scenes stuff, and she'll get an infection or something when I'm not even in character, and I'm like, oh my gosh, stop getting stupid diseases while I'm filming behind the scenes stuff. So I have to take antibiotics just so that I can get clean footage, because if she gets an infection, it'll blur the screen for a while. When the infection spreads, it'll blur the screen, and she'll make a sound, and it interrupts my video. Like my behind the scenes, or not behind the scenes video, but like my journal entry intro footage. So many times infections will just set in while she's standing there, while I'm off in free camera mode filming some really cool scene, and she's like, ugh, and the screen blurs for a second. I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. She has an infection? She's just standing there not even doing anything. How'd she get an infection? Those are the times I wish I wasn't playing in survival mode. Because it just makes video production a lot harder. Plus, sometimes it takes me an hour or more to record this extra footage. While I'm not in character. She's just standing there. She'll get hungry and thirsty. Maybe I don't have food or water for her, or not enough. And I don't actually want to take any of her inventory items. Like, I don't want to drink her water and eat her food and use her antibiotics off camera when I'm not even filming an episode, just doing behind the scenes stuff. And so, you know, I will use the console in that time to spawn items to satisfy her hunger and thirst while I'm doing behind the scenes stuff, so that it doesn't affect her inventory for the episode. Because that stuff, those diseases and that hunger and that thirst doesn't count, because it's not part of the show. It's not part of her life. She's just standing there while I film other stuff, because I can't do it any other way. Anyway, I have a tendency to ramble on about this stuff, don't I? I just kind of keep going and going and going. But I hope you guys are enjoying it anyway. And I hope I answered your question about that. Yeah, for roleplay purposes, no, I don't wish that I was recording in hard mode, that I was doing it in hard mode, because it would take away that extra risk factor that's part of the realism of it. For behind the scenes purposes, yes. I wish it was just recording in hard mode. That's the short answer. Anyways, let's move on to the next question, as this video becomes exceedingly long. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so the next question is, do you find it frustrating with the Bethesda AI? Yes, I sure do. Most of the time, it's okay. But when you're trying to achieve a certain goal for a story and the AI doesn't cooperate with you, yeah, it's extremely frustrating. But I've wasted so many hours, recording hours, because of Bethesda AI. Oh my gosh. There's this one scene. So this is like epic AI fail right here. I'll just tell you. You guys wanted some anecdotes. Several of you asked for anecdotes, so I'll tell you some. It was in the episode, I don't remember which episode it was, but it was one of the ones where they were leading that woman back to her farm after they rescued her, right? And they camped under a bridge by the river. It was that one. And then, so the episode starts where they are waking up at their camp under the bridge, and then they have to cross the river at some point, and there's multiple bridges to choose from. There's one with a drawbridge that's up. There's one that's broken. They can't cross that one. There's one... whatever. There's a bunch of different bridges, and they all have things wrong with them, right? So when I first recorded the episode, Ellie went over to the drawbridge to see if they could jump across the gap. And don't even get me started on that stupid settler woman and her dumb AI that wouldn't follow them. I mean, that just ruined... I can't tell you how many times I restarted that episode trying to get her to follow us, but she wouldn't, so I finally just gave up. Just like, whatever. She's waiting way behind to make sure the way is clear before she comes forward. Whatever. It forces me to make up really stupid explanations. Anyway, so she goes up to this bridge to look to see if they can jump the gap. She thinks they can. Turns around to ask Danse what he thinks, and he's not even there. Dogmeat's there. She's only standing at the top of the drawbridge. She hasn't even jumped across yet, okay? But Danse thought she probably would jump across. But NPCs can't jump, okay? They don't have the ability to jump. They can jump off of ledges. They can't jump across gaps, right? So Danse couldn't jump across that. And the AI thought that Ellie was going to jump across, even though she hadn't yet. She was still standing on the bridge, on the first side of the bridge. Danse thought she would jump across, so since he can't jump, he was going to find a different way around, right? So that's what he scrambled off to do. Go find a different way around. But in the meantime, here I'm trying to roleplay. Ellie turns around and is like, hey, Danse, what do you think? Danse, where'd you go? He's not there. He's nowhere to be found. She goes back off the bridge, looks down a couple streets. Danse, where are you? Where are you? He's nowhere. He is nowhere. I'm like, where did he go? This is stupid. It just ruined it now because I can't have him just be disappearing for no apparent reason. So I cut the video. Okay, gotta start over. Luckily, it was the beginning of the episode, so I have to redo much, right? And I'm like, after I cut the recording, I was like, where is he? I couldn't find him anywhere. So I started going up and down all the streets, all over the place. I could not find him for anything. So I was like, okay, let's find out where he is. I used the console to teleport myself to his location. And guess where he was? He was on the next bridge over, right in the middle of a huge group of raiders who had killed him. Not like literally killed him dead, but he was down and bleed out in the middle of a group of like 5 raiders. So he had run off my bridge, way down the street to the next bridge, ran into a giant group of raiders, and they knocked him out. And it all happened without me even knowing, because it was too far away for me to hear their gunshots. Yeah, and of course, when I spawned in, they instantly killed Ellie too, but yeah. So then I was like, okay, I'll just not go onto the drawbridge. We'll decide from a distance that it's too far to jump across, and we'll go to the next bridge. And hopefully those raiders aren't there next time. And they weren't. It was completely empty. There wasn't any enemies on the next bridge over. So that is one instance where the AI just about drove me insane. and there's others too, but that was the biggest one. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Let's go on to the next question. Will Ellie ever get a boyfriend or a husband again? Well, I don't think I can tell you that one. That's a spoiler. I'm not going to tell you guys spoilers, okay? I'm just not. We'll see. There's possibilities. You'll just have to wait and see, okay? Okay, the next question is, what is Ellie's favorite weapon? Well, currently her favorite weapon is pistols. I'm doing a pistols build, so she's going to be mainly using pistols. She has used, like the laser rifle, the one that Danse gave her. She's used that a little bit, but at first she didn't like using rifles because she found them to just be too heavy. She didn't like carrying them around for a long period of time. She prefers the pistol. She feels more comfortable with it. Her current favorite pistol is the 9mm Browning High Power, which is actually a mod. It's not a vanilla gun. Because I don't like any of the vanilla pistols, or at least I don't like 10mm pistols, and I definitely don't like pipe pistols. They're just too big. They're enormous. The vanilla pistols are enormous. I like the one that Deacon gives you. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. It's a nice little pistol. It's more realistic in size. However, she's never going to get that pistol, most likely, because she's not going to join the railroad. So that one's kind of off the table. Kellogg's pistol is a very nice, I really like Kellogg's pistol, so she might end up using that in the future. We'll have to wait and see. But currently, her most favorite weapon is this 9mm that's from a mod. It's called 9mm, the 9mm pistol Browning High Power Redux. It's pretty nice. So I've used a couple different mod. I've used a 10mm pistol mod that just makes the 10mm pistol. It makes it. It adds the 10mm pistol from Fallout 3. So it's a little bit more compact. It's not as large. However, it has custom animations that go with it. Custom sprint animation, or it uses a different sprint animation than the vanilla 10mm pistol, and I don't like it. It makes me feel like I have giant feet and that I'm taking extra long strides. It just made me feel, I don't know, different when I was sprinting. I didn't like it. And so I've kind of abandoned that pistol and in favor of the 9mm. Actually, I really enjoy this pistol. If you guys want a pistol mod, and I haven't tried very many, but the ones I have tried, so far this one is my favorite. It feels like it has a lot of power behind it. It actually feels like it does a really good job. I like the sound it makes. I like the feel of it. So far, that's my favorite weapon, and so that means it's her favorite weapon too. Anyway, yeah, I have all of my mods that I use in the Let's Play, just so that you guys know this. I don't know if all of you know this, but I list all of the mods I use in the descriptions of my roleplay videos. So if you ever want to know what mods I'm using, they're all down there. I don't have links to all of them because There's a lot of mods. That's a lot of links to go find. But anyway, I will leave the links to the ones I'm going to talk about in the description of this video. So I'll leave the gun mod link down there. And these are for PC, by the way. Some of these might be available on Xbox, but I don't know because I haven't done that research. If you guys play on Xbox, you'll have to do that research yourself. None of these are going to be available on PS4, most likely, just because most things aren't. Anyway. Okay. Next question. Do you have a blooper reel for the series? For example, has something ever happened that made you laugh, but wouldn't make Ellie laugh? You know what? And this actually was asked by a few people. People want to see blooper reels or whatever. I was not planning on making a blooper reel for this series because, well, for one thing, so I made a blooper reel for the Fallout 76 roleplay series. And the only reason why I did that was because I'm interacting with other people, other real people in that series. And when you put real people together in situations where they're, you know, interacting, funny things happen, especially when the people are funny. Or when mistakes happen, you laugh out loud with the people you're with. When I'm recording by myself, that doesn't happen. If something funny happens, I don't react out loud to it necessarily. I would if I was, like I used to when I was just casually playing Fallout 4 for my first roleplay. I wasn't 100% role-playing, so I left character occasionally, especially if something funny happened, and I would laugh about it because I was laughing with the viewers. But when I'm playing by myself, and I don't have any intention of that blooper getting in the video, I have no reason to react to it out loud. I might think it's funny in the moment, but there's not going to be a vocal reaction from me that you guys will be able to, you know, hear or anything. So, no, I don't actually have any bloopers. That's just, I don't know, the way it is. So sorry. I can't recall off the top of my head any. There haven't really been any. And not much has happened that would have been funny. Except, you know, like maybe the Danse getting killed on the bridge thing, but that didn't actually get recorded because I had stopped the recording to go look for him. Yeah. The first time she ever died, that might have been funny. But I didn't save it. I don't usually save my raw footage after I'm done recording and editing and publishing a video. Once my video is published, I usually get rid of the original raw file because they're really large. They take up a lot of room on my hard drive, and so I get rid of them. I keep the original, I keep the edited version of the video. So I have every video I ever made, I have it's stored on external hard drives in its edited state, but I do not keep original raw files because they're humongous. And I would quickly run out of room, and I don't want to be constantly buying more external hard drives to store all this footage that I'm probably never going to use. So it's always been a habit of mine to delete all of this old footage after I'm done with it. And so in that case, I do not have the footage anymore, even if I wanted to make a blooper reel. The only reason why I had the footage from my Fallout 76 roleplay and was able to make a blooper reel is because we decided we were going to make a blooper reel way in advance, somewhere around episode 6. We were like, hey, there's some funny stuff going on here. We should make a blooper reel. And so I deliberately kept the raw footage of those videos so that we could do that. But I didn't keep the first 6 episodes, I don't think. Maybe it was 5. 4 or 5 episodes, the first 4 or 5 episodes of the original footage of the Fallout 76 roleplay got deleted because that was just my habit to do that. And so I wasn't able to go back and get bloopers from the first few episodes because I had already deleted that footage by the time we realized that we wanted to make a blooper reel. eventually. So anyway, that's the only series I've ever saved raw footage from. And it will just continue to be that way. Because like I said, I don't really have a lot. I wouldn't actually have a lot of footage to pull from anyways, even if I did keep it. There just aren't any real good bloopers. The first time Ellie died in the series was when she was talking. It was when she went to the Drumlin Diner and you meet Wolfgang and all that. He wants to, Trudy to pay him and whatnot. So because of the mod that I have, that changes the Drumlin Diner, it makes it so that you have the conversation out with Trudy while you're standing outside. So normally with the vanilla Drumlin Diner, you can go in and talk to her. But with my mod that changes it so it's more immersive, it makes it look like they live there, it changes stuff. She talks to you through the window and you're standing outside. If you decide to help her and not help Wolfgang, they instantly become hostile to you and they start shooting you. And since I have all these mods that make it, one-hit kills, boom, she was dead. Trudy's like, okay, let's do this. Conversation ends. I don't even have time to draw my gun after the conversation cutscene is over before she's dead. As soon as the conversation ends, Wolfgang shoots her in the head. She's dead. So I was like, okay, well, that's not going to work. I tried it over and over and over, that scene. I tried it at least 4 times, and she was insta-killed each time. And so I was like, well, fine. We'll just convince Trudy to pay him. Let's go the peaceful route. Even though Trudy's not very happy with you for the rest of the game. It's better than getting your head blown off. So anyway, that might have been something I would put in a blooper reel. But again, my reaction wouldn't have been funny because I don't really have... I probably would have went, ugh, darn it all. Now I have to redo that part. That's probably my reaction to it. So it wouldn't really have been very good for a blooper reel. Anyways. Wow, this video is long. I keep looking at the time and it's an hour and 40 minutes. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. You're probably like, no, don't apologize. This is fun. At least I'm hoping that you're thinking that. We only have a couple more questions to go. The next question. Did it kill you in episode 3 not taking the power armor knowing there was a death claw? No, it didn't kill me. Obviously, she didn't die. No, kidding. No. I have no problem taking power armor because I don't really care about power armor personally. Power armor is not something that I enjoy playing in. Using. I don't use it when I play the game on my own. I'm not going to be using it in this roleplay at all. I hardly ever used it in my last Let's Play. I never care about leaving power armor behind. I've never been one of those people who has to collect every single power armor frame they find in the world. I actually have a mod installed that removes all the power armor frame spawns in the world, so I actually don't come across them. Because I don't care about collecting them. So no. Knowing there was a death claw, I wasn't afraid to fight the death claw because, you can go in the buildings. It's not like you're forced to fight it out in the street. I've done it before without power armor. It wasn't the first time I've ever done it without power armor, so, I knew what I was doing. So no, it wasn't hard to leave the power armor behind. It never is for me. That's just the way I like to play. All right, next question. Is it awkward role-playing by yourself? Interesting question. I don't think anyone's ever asked me that before. No, it's not. I have been doing it for, I've been doing it for so long. It's just, it feels natural for me it's something natural for me to do. I've been role-playing my entire life since I was kids. since I was a kid, my brother and I used to role play together all the time. We would make up all kinds of stories and characters, and we would role play them for hours. That's what we did. We made our own dramatized story tapes. Yeah, tapes, cassette tapes. You know, you can record on your cassette tape. We would each play characters, and we would just sit there and role play. Now, I know that's not by myself, but I had experience doing it, role playing in general. And when you have experience in it in general, it doesn't feel weird to do it by yourself. I also, I grew up reading books out loud to my brother. Same reason, so in a similar way, we always read books together growing up, and up until we were in our late teens, we would read books together. And I also continued reading books to my husband after I got married. We would do that sometimes. I would read books to him. I just really like to read. And for most of my life, I read more out loud than I did to myself in my own head. And so actually, I am more comfortable reading out loud than I am reading in my head. And so when I read on my own, if I'm just by myself reading, I usually read out loud. Yeah, that probably makes a lot of you feel uncomfortable, but it doesn't make me feel uncomfortable because I'm more used to reading out loud than I am reading in my own head. And so it's the same way with role playing. Since I did it so much as a kid and a young adult, with other people, I was so used to it that it doesn't make me feel uncomfortable to do it when I'm by myself. So yeah, anyway, it just sort of comes naturally. And so, like, when I read, so in real life, I'm an author. I don't have much published. I don't really have anything published yet. I have some fan fictions, and you can go look at those on fanfiction.net if you want. None of them are finished yet. They're all in progress, but I'll leave a link down below if you would like to go check those out. I also am writing my own fiction novels. None of them are published yet. I've been writing them, and it's a trilogy that I'm working on. Anyway, I'm sure I'll let you guys know when it gets published. I don't know when that will be, but anyways, whenever I read my own books, I read them out loud to myself, and I role play the characters. So I act out their voices, I act out their emotions, and I've been doing that for years. It's given me a lot of practice in voice acting and role playing, voice role playing and stuff like that. So I've had lots of different areas of experience in regards to voice acting and role playing. None of it is like official. Like, I've never done any official voice acting for like a job that I was paid to do, but I've done a lot of just voice acting on my own and by myself. And so it's not awkward for me to do because I've just been doing it for so long. And here I have been sitting here for an hour and 45 minutes talking to my laptop screen with nothing on it. As if I'm talking to people who are actually sitting in the room with me. And I don't feel awkward doing that either because I've been doing it for so long. I've been recording videos for the last 4 years talking to nothing, talking to a screen, knowing that you guys are going to hear it eventually. So yeah, no, it's very natural for me to do. All right. Which makes me ramble a lot because in real life, that's the way I am. When I'm talking to people and telling them a story, I ramble a lot. So this is me. I'm not putting on any false personality here for YouTube. What you see, or what you hear, is what you get. I am me. 100%. This is how I am in real life. Anyways, moving on to the next question. Any building videos for this series? Yeah, I always had that intention to do those, didn't I? The only problem is that I haven't built anything yet. Well, that's not true. I built that gate the sanctuary guard post gate thingy. Now, I recorded my building that. I actually recorded that. I just haven't had the time or the memory, because I keep forgetting to do it. But a lot of it is time too. I haven't had the time to actually sit down and edit that footage or record any narration for it. So I intend to, though. I intend to someday get that video out, show you guys how I made that bridge gate guard post thing. It's hard. I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to do these new build videos because they involve a lot of mods. I'm using a lot of mods that add items to the build menu, and I don't know. I just haven't figured out how to go about showing which mods I'm using and different things. I'll figure it out eventually. The way I'm building up the sanctuary for now is the only one I've started on. I'm not... Usually when I do a build, I build the entire thing. Just from beginning to end, boom, there's a new building, right? But for the way I'm playing it right now is that it's being built up in really tiny increments over a period of time, because I'm pretending that the settlers are doing it. The settlers are building up the settlement while Ellie is off doing other things. They're back at Sanctuary making improvements, building this or that, but it's happening so gradually, and she'll come back and see the in progress things. And so I can't build a building from beginning to end in 20 minutes for a video. I have to build it a little bit, and I'll record that much that I built, and then Ellie will come and see the progress, and then later she'll leave, and then I'll build a little bit more and record it, and then eventually, way down the line, it'll eventually be done, and then I can compile all of the footage of the build process into one video. And that's why I haven't put any out yet, mainly because I don't have any finished yet. So yeah. So it's not going to be as easy to make build videos for this series. That's not to say that there won't be any. They just won't be very often. So, and I really can't tell you when they're going to be or what they're going to be of. We'll just have to wait and see. So, yeah. I am planning on doing it because I have lots of cool ideas. They just have to show up in the show first. I don't want to show them off before they're shown off in the actual episodes. So, yeah, anyway. All right, so now, last one, and this one is, I would love to see the current mod list. If anything has been added in or removed from the introduction videos that you made at the beginning. All right, so I haven't added very many. And I will quickly go through the ones that I did add. All right, so here's the ones that I added, and I'm just doing these in alphabetical order. I added the Beantown Interiors project. I should have added this from the start. I meant to, but then I forgot about it. I've always loved this mod. And this one is actually available on PS4 for all you PS4 players out there. Yeah, go get it. It's awesome. What this mod does is it basically just adds interiors to the game all over the place. You'll probably noticed some of them already. I've already explored quite a few of them in the game. So what it does is it just opens up buildings in the game that had been previously closed. Stores, fronts, like for instance this diner in the where is this at? This is in Concord. You can see the hardware store right there, the Museum of Freedom's over on this side. In the original, vanilla game, this diner's boarded up. You can't go in it. I don't even know if it's a diner. I don't even know if it has signs like that. It might just be a plain building with nothing on it. I don't remember. But it opens it up on the inside, puts a diner on the inside of it. So, things like that it makes it so that there's more places to explore. And some of them have unique loot in them. Some of them have enemies in them. Most of them don't. It opens up a lot of the houses. Here, let me see if I can show you. Some of them, it opens up houses. This looks like the interior of a house. It just adds little bits of things. I believe I went inside this one in the Let's Play. That's in Concord. So most of the houses in Concord are boarded up. There's like 3 or 4, maybe only 3 that actually you can go inside. But with this mod installed, there's several more that are open and you can go inside them. And there's a bunch in all the other cities too. So I highly recommend this mod if you really like exploring and looking for more loot. This mod actually comes with unique loot that it adds to the game. The PS4 version's not going to have this stuff in it, by the way. It only has the interiors. But the PC version and maybe the Xbox version, I don't know that for sure, so don't quote me on that. But you can get these unique yard gnomes that you can find throughout some of the interiors. So you can collect them all. It's just sort of a little collector's thing that you can look for them. There's lots of them. Anyway, there's also some unique settlement items that you can build in your settlement, like lamps and different things like that. So there's just a lot of there's stores, houses, yeah, all kinds of things. Anyway, that is one of the mods I've added, and I can't remember when I added it. I think it was like after episode 5 or something like that. Anyway, I really like this mod. It just makes there to be a lot more things to explore. And most of the areas are small. Just one little building, a little house somewhere, but there could be multiple ones in an area. When Ellie was traveling through, was it Cambridge, from the police station, and she was going, I can't remember where she was going at the time, but she found her parents' house. All the houses that were between the police station and her parents' house, all the ones she went in, those were all from this mod. None of those were open and enterable, if that's a word, in the vanilla game. They're all from this mod, so yeah. Alright, so the next one is button-lowered weapons. It's not a very big mod. What it does is it lowers your weapon so you're not pointing it in everyone's face. And it does it with the push of a button. So there's several different mods that lower your weapons, but all of them lower it automatically for you. Your weapon is just always lowered. And I didn't really like that idea, because sometimes you want to point your gun straight forward even if you're not shooting it. Like if you're in a tense situation and there's enemies all around you but you can't see where they are, you're going to be holding your gun in front of you, ready to shoot it at a moment's notice. You're not going to be having it down by your hip. You're going to have it out in front of you. You're going to be ready to protect yourself, right? So I wanted a mod that allowed me to control when I lower my weapon and when I raise it. And there actually was one, and so that's this one, and I was very happy to find it. It just allows you to put your gun down whenever you want. And it lowers it down so that it's just at the bottom of the screen instead of pointing in everyone's faces. So I really like this mod and I recommend it. Definitely. Okay, so next one is called Chef, Cooking, Hunger, and Expanded Food. And I don't use this one a ton. Like I haven't so this basically just adds new recipes to the game. Like you can make different drinks. It adds some new models. I haven't made any of this stuff. I've made these juices. I've made melon juice and mute fruit juice. It adds... I've made some of this. Like, I've made the roasted gourd wedges. I've made the baked potatoes. The flatbread, I've never made the flatbread, but I've bought it, and Ellie's had it before. This pot cake thingy, whatever, I don't know what that's called. She's found some of these on killed enemies before. So there's some things that I have used, and so the thing is, I'm not impressed with the recipe selection in Fallout 4. It is extremely lacking. You can't make anything. You can make soup, or you can cook meat, and that's about it. You can't make anything else. You can't make bread. You can't grill vegetables or cook them in any way except in a soup. And I always thought that was really weird. Like, you've got one, you have a gourd, but you can't cook it because you don't have any water, or you don't have dirty water, because I think in the vanilla game, you need dirty water to make soup. And if you don't have any dirty water on you, you can't make soup out of your melon. What? Why not? Make it out of purified water, or just eat it raw, or cook it. Cook your potatoes, cook your gourds. Why do you have to make a soup out of them? I never understood it. That's why I installed this mod. It just adds some recipes. Some of them are kind of goofy. Like what that? This is like a bowl of Rice Krispies. Oh yes. Okay. So what this is you can actually make. There's like a bowl of Blamco mac and cheese there. I think this is supposed to be sugar bombs. You can actually make Blamco mac and cheese now with this recipe. With this mod. You can actually cook your Blamco mac and cheese instead of eating it raw out of the box, or dried noodles, dried macaroni noodles. That's what you're doing when you eat a Blamco mac and cheese. You're eating dry macaroni noodles. You're not even cooking them first. So the mod lets you, if you have water and a Blamco mac and cheese, you can make a bowl of Blamco mac and cheese and eat it cooked. And you can, if you have milk, and it allows you to get milk from Brahmin, I think, as well. If you have milk, you can pour your sugar bombs into a bowl and have milk. And some of these others are some of the others are like that too. The different things that you can make. Some of these are kind of silly. Like some of these like pie things and whatnot. Probably will never make those just because they kind of look like, I don't think Ellie would ever make something like that, right? It was like some sort of sushi or whatever. So some of them I don't really like, and they require a lot of these recipes require fairly rare ingredients, so like I probably would never be enough to make some of this stuff. But I liked some of it enough I liked some of it enough. You can find these chef magazines where you can learn the recipes in if you read these magazines. Anyway, I liked most of the things that this mod offered. I thought a lot of them were very realistic, so I'm just going to ignore the ones that aren't. On the same note, I also installed this one called R76 Recipes 76 Chem and Food Recipes from Fallout 76. I don't know why they have 3 titles there, but each one's slightly longer and more descriptive than the one before. Basically, all it does is it puts all of the recipes from Fallout 76 into Fallout 4. Fallout 76 has at least one thing on Fallout 4. It has way better cooking recipes. Way more variety, way more ingredients. They did a good job with their recipes, okay? You can make a lot of stuff in Fallout 76. In Fallout 4, you can make a handful of things. So this just adds all the recipes from Fallout 76. It also adds ingredients that you can't get in Fallout 4. You can find some of the recipes throughout the world. So like you can make ash blossom tea, you can make teas, aster tea, you can make steeped teas, just like in Fallout 76, and they require different ingredients. Some of the ingredients is really hard to find. Anyway, they don't have very many pictures to choose from, but like it allows you to make salt and pepper and sugar because those are ingredients that are available in Fallout 76, but not in Fallout 4. So it gives you recipes to make those things so that you can make the recipes. Anyway, I haven't been able to make many of these recipes yet because I haven't actually found enough of the ingredients. But, eventually I will. So anyway, that's one of the mods I've added. I added Immersive HUD pretty early on, after the series started, I think like in episode 3 or 4 or something like that. I meant to add it from the beginning because I use Immersive HUD in Skyrim, and I knew it existed. It's not like I didn't know it existed. I just forgot to add it. And then one of my subscribers reminded me of it, and I was like, oh, darn it. I totally forgot to add that. It basically just makes it so that your HUD is clean, and it's configurable so you can decide what's showing on your HUD or not. And after the first couple episodes, I started getting a lot of comments from people saying that the HUD was too busy, it was too distracting, it took them out of the role play, it took them out of the story, it reminded them that it was a video game, and they didn't like it. And so I gradually just decreased the HUD little by little. I first started by removing the compass and having the health and stamina bars show up only after they decreased a certain amount. Like if stamina went down to half, then the stamina bar would show up, or the AP bar, whatever, would show up. And then after a few seconds it would go away after it had refilled. And the same with the health bar. That they would be dynamic, I guess. And then after a while, that was too busy too. So I just completely got rid of them altogether. So now the health bar and the stamina bar don't show up anymore. At least I don't think they do. I don't remember. Anyways, maybe they do. I don't remember. But you can also make it so that they'll show up only in combat or whatever. Or only when you sprint. Like your AP bar, you can set it so that it only shows up when you're sprinting. And the rest of the time it's not there. And stuff like that. You can make it so that you can hide your compass only and have your other stuff available. You can actually hide and show each separate point of your HUD. You can hide the ammo, and you can hide the all these other things. And you can also make them so that you can toggle them on and off with a press of a key, which I have, because every once in a while when I'm behind the scenes, I want to check her status, her health bar and stuff. I also have dimmed the HUD, and that's not part of this mod, but it's connected to the topic. I dimmed the HUD in the game settings so that it's really faint. And I did that upon viewer request because so many people commented again that the HUD was just too distracting, and they didn't want to focus on the game mechanics and the game aspects. They wanted to focus on the story, and I agreed with them. The more into the role playing that I got, and the more realistic I was playing it, the more annoying the HUD came to be, and I just wanted it gone. Not completely gone, because I still need to know some stuff. I need to know what's in containers and stuff. But even so, you can still see what's in containers without your HUD. You can just open the container, and then it'll show. Certain things you can't turn off, like open containers. Quest objectives aren't dimmed, usually. Or maybe they are. Yeah, I think they are. But some things aren't. Anyway. I didn't want everything to go away 100% because, I need the little messages up in the corner to tell me when Ellie got a disease or when she got hurt or when she's, hungry or thirsty. since I don't have the food and water bars and the health bars and stuff showing on the screen, I need some sort of visual aid to pop up once in a while up in the top corner. It'll say you're hungry or you're thirsty or whatever. So there's still that subtle information coming through without it being glaring. And then, there's only been like 1 or 2 people who have complained about the lack of HUD. It's a huge majority of the players didn't want the HUD there, and were very glad that I minimized it. So I'm just trying to please the majority of you guys. So sorry to those of you who don't like it. I'm sorry. I'm not going to change it because I prefer it as well. I prefer the minimized HUD as well. Anyway, and on the same note, I also installed Silent UI. Basically what this does is it gets rid of all those annoying UI sounds, like quest completion music, quest, when you get a quest, there's this loud music that plays. When you complete a quest, there's a loud music that plays. And sometimes it's so loud it drowns out what people are saying. It's really distracting. When you level up, it's really loud. When you gain experience, there's that cha-ching. And there's mods that change those sounds. There's mods that take away one or more different ones. But this one's configurable. You can decide which sounds you want. Look. XP gain, discover location, discover city, discover dungeon, sanctuary, town, level up drums, the quest begin, quest objective update, quest complete, discover all of the different factions. They all have their own music. And you can click on either one, on any of these that you want to get rid of, and it'll get rid of them. Or you can keep whichever ones you want to keep. I decided to get rid of all of them. I don't want any stupid music ruining my game. Look at it. You can even get rid of your equip, unequipped sounds, your power armor equip, the hum of your Pip-Boy, map scrolling. I didn't do any of that. I want sound effects in the game. There's also VATS sound effects. You can get rid of those if you want to. Just to make it, not so noisy. I didn't get rid of any of those. You can get rid of specific perk ability activation noises, which I might reinstall it with some of these, because I think one of them, and I don't remember which one it was, might not be in here. One of the perks I got recently, it made a noise and showed up on the screen. It was very annoying. But anyway, you can basically configure your game to only have the sounds you want. And so I think this is probably the best mod. I tried, and if you go back to some of my first episodes, you'll probably see me testing a few different ones. At first I tested a mod that replaced the level up music and the quest completion music with the ones from Fallout New Vegas, because they weren't as awful. And I used those for one episode, and then I was like, nah, I don't like that. I just don't want any noise. I don't want the game to interrupt my roleplay. You know what I mean? So that's why I got this one. Silent UI. It's awesome. You guys have probably noticed that whenever I complete a quest or level up, all you see is the faded text on my screen to tell me that it happened. There's no noise. Really like that. Next mod. This one is a workshop settlement mod that adds items to the settlement and the build menu, basically. And I've used some of it. This one's called Thematic and Practical, Workshop Settlement Structures and Furnitures. The main thing that this mod adds is shops. Themed shops for your for the traveling merchants, like Carla and them, that they'll use when they come to your settlement. If you, instead of, so you, when you build the what's it called? The trader base thing, or I don't remember what it's called. It's the trader thingy where you stick it in your settlement and the traders will come and sell their wares there occasionally, right? It makes their little place better. Instead of them just standing under a tent, they actually have a shop, and it makes it so that you can build this interconnecting little marketplace. It's got these modular pieces that all fit together in a certain way, or you can use them separately however you want, but it really focuses on that. It also adds some more scrappy looking cobbled together furniture or built items. Like this shelf, I actually built this shelf in Sanctuary. So it adds different things. I'm not going to use a lot of this stuff, but there were just a few items in there that I really liked. So it adds these guard posts. I think I used this one for a little while in my role play. These are different guard posts. It adds these bunk beds. I haven't used that. It adds different types of beds, chairs. I think I have one of these. I use this tire as well. So it just adds different, you can sit, it makes it so that this is a chair, that's a chair. These are things that you can sit on. It adds a little bit more junk items that you can place around. So yeah, it adds this little marketplace like this. These are modular pieces that all fit together like this that you can build. Anyway, so I was looking for more stuff that settlers would have built, like this shelf, right? That they would have used scrap wood that they found to make a shelf, because you're not always going to have a shelf readily available that's already made. So that's what I was getting that mod for. I don't really care about this modular marketplace thing because I'd rather design my own, but anyway, that's the main feature of the mod. The next one is Woody's Wasteland stuff, and you'll probably recognize this. This is in the Sanctuary house, in the episode where Ellie recently went back to Sanctuary, and they had built this stove out of a barrel. And it comes with all the stovepipes and stuff like that. I loved this. I mean, like, why wouldn't they do that? Why wouldn't this be already in the game? It's awesome. You can bake a stove out of a barrel, because why not? You would. That's just natural, right? I love it. This mod is awesome. It adds these ratty curtains. It adds some new build pieces too. Stairs, new stuff. It adds some new windmills, hot water heaters. It adds pipes. You can put plumbing in your house and all kinds of things. It's really cool. It's really cool for immersion, realism, but it's also really practical looking. Like, the settlers could have actually acquired this stuff and actually made it themselves. It adds some new doors. It adds whole new sets of stairs and railings. I love this. It's awesome. It adds cupboards that look like they made them themselves. Oh, you can even make a fish tank, which I don't know. I don't know about that, but you can make cabinets and different things, stairs that go up in different directions. I really like that it's still scrappy. It still looks homemade. You can make a fireplace. This is stuff that people would actually make. It also adds a frame pack so that you can make buildings in progress. And that was one of the main reasons I got it, because I wanted to build up my settlements in progress. So I wanted Ellie to return to Sanctuary or whatever, any other settlements too, and see that the settlers have been in the process of making buildings. And you can see when she returned to Sanctuary that Sturgis was making a new room up on top of the Sanctuary house carport. And I used some of these frames from this frame thing. And this thing too. I put that in there as well. And this. And that, I used those things as from this mod. So it's very, very nice. It also comes with these turret trees if you are into that. Other things, milk cans, it's wheelbarrows, cement mixers. It comes with a different style of lanterns. This mod, I mean, almost everything in here is completely usable for an immersive settlement build. So I highly recommend this mod, and it's all really well done. I really like all the stuff out of this one. All right. Anyway, go check it out. Woody's Wasteland stuff. Last mod that I have installed since I started the roleplay, Vertibird Travel from the Prydwen. This was absolutely necessary for realism. So in the vanilla game, you can't actually travel from the Prydwen in a vertibird. Okay? In the vanilla game, you go up to the vertibird that's over here. Like if you come out of the door, when you're inside the Prydwen, when you come out, there's a vertibird always parked there on the right side. And over here on the left is where your vertibird comes in if you're arriving to the Prydwen. You can arrive to the Prydwen on a vertibird, but you can't leave from the Prydwen in a vertibird. You can go over to this vertibird and click on it, and it will fast travel you down to the airport. Then you have to call a vertibird with a signal grenade to the airport and then fly away from there. Which that doesn't even make any sense. Why not just call it to the Prydwen instead of going down to the airport first? And so it didn't feel very immersive to me. And so I searched high and low for this mod. And I was like really hoping that there was a mod like this that would allow you to leave the Prydwen from a vertibird. And there is. So you call a vertibird to the Prydwen and it'll come and land, and then you can just board it and take off like normal. So, yay! The only problem is that when you install a mod that alters vertibirds in any way, or their behavior, it changes vertibird AI a little bit, or it messes with their AI, and it makes them travel really, really close to structures, buildings, bridges, and sometimes clips through them. The vanilla vertibirds don't do that. But once you alter vertibird AI, it seems, because I've seen this happen with other people. It even happened to Gopher when he installed a mod that changed vertibird AI. It makes the vertibird pilots extremely daring and suicidal too. That's something that's, kind of odd, but I don't know. I think it's worth it for the immersion of actually leaving the Prydwen on a vertibird. Anyway, that is all of the mods I've installed that you guys would notice anyway, that actually impact the game. I might have installed some behind the scenes stuff, but I can't remember. But these are the mods that I've installed since I launched the series. Your question you asked if I have removed any from my list. I removed, well, I didn't remove it from my game. I still use it, but I use it behind the scenes. I removed Dynavision. That's the mod that provides dynamic depth of field. I just didn't like how it works in Fallout 4. I use it in Skyrim all the time. I used it in my Skyrim Let's Play. I can't play Skyrim without it. I love it in Skyrim, but in Fallout 4 it just doesn't work very well. At least not for me. It's not smooth. The depth of field, the dynamic depth of field isn't smooth. So like dynamic meaning if you look at an object that's close up and it's in focus, and then you shift your focus to something far away, the actual focus, the depth of field, moves from the close-up object to the far-away one, right? Like a camera would in a movie, or like how your eyes do when you look at something close up versus far away. the transition isn't smooth, or at least not for me. And I couldn't figure out how to get it to be smooth. I fussed with it for so long, and I just couldn't get it to work smoothly like it does in Skyrim. And so I just got tired of it. I felt like my vision was out of focus way too much for too long. The transition wasn't transitioning fast enough, even though I had it set on the highest speed. And then when it did make the transitions, you could see it shifting. It wasn't a gradual change. It was a sudden, jerky kind of action. And it was really distracting to me. So I uninstalled that one. I use it still sometimes when I'm recording my intro shots for the journal, just so that it's more cinematic. I don't always use it because I usually forget to turn it on. It's configurable with in game, so you can turn it on and off in game without uninstalling it. And so I'll turn it on and off when I need it. But yeah, I don't actually play with it anymore. So anyway, off the top of my head, that's the only one I've removed. I might have removed some others, but I can't remember what they are off the top of my head. They're probably not anything that you guys would notice. That would probably be the only one that you guys would notice. So anyway, that is the end of this Q&A. That was the last question about the mods there. So what? This video is 2 hours long now. More than 2 hours long. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it wasn't too long. It's probably going to take most of you more than a day to watch. But I hope you watched the whole thing. If you watched the whole thing, comment below and tell me that you watched it. Because I would really love to know. Anyways, if you have any other questions that didn't get answered today about the Fallout 4 roleplay, nothing else, just the Fallout 4 roleplay, in regards to the show or the behind the scenes aspects of it, ask them below. I will save them so that sometime down the line when I do another one of these videos, I'll answer your question. All right? And hopefully you're still around and watching it by then. I don't know when I'll do the next one. So Ellie is level 20 now. Maybe I'll do another one when she's level 40. I don't know. We'll see. It depends on how much has changed in the roleplay. Like, if I add any new techniques, new editing stuff, new behind-the-scenes techniques, or if I installed a lot of new mods, or whatever. If there's more stuff to talk about that's different than what we talked about today, I'll do another video then. All right? Because I want to keep you guys up to date on what's going on with her and what her perks and stuff are. So yeah, she definitely has to acquire some more perks before I can update you on those. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know down in the comments what you thought, and if you thought I rambled too much, because I'm sorry. That's just the way I am when I'm not on script. Usually I script my videos so that I don't ramble, but this one's completely unscripted, so you can probably see why I script my videos. Okay, before I ramble some more, I'm going to say goodbye. So you guys have fun. Well, first play safe, then play nice, and have fun. I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.